Hi guys, I'm here today to do a kind of little impromptu review of a film that I saw today. I went to the cinema today basically. I found out about this film about a couple weeks ago. I'd heard about it, didn't know much about it. And then I saw like a poster for it and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I heard about it early this week, and it sounded like a film I actually wanted to see, and I remember hearing about it before hearing about the what the film's about and stuff. So the film, of course, is Boyhood, the new Richard Linklater film, which is a coming-of-age story about a boy growing up. Starts from when he's age 6 and goes until he's 18. And the interesting thing is they shot the film over 12 years instead of using different actors. They used the same actors and shot it as they got older. So, yeah, you've probably heard a lot about it. There's a large chance that you've heard about it because it's getting massively positive reviews. I mean, I think on Rotten Tomatoes it's got something like 80 reviews and it's got 100%. IMDb is at 8.9 out of 10, and yeah, it got its official release today here in the UK, it's released next week in the US, and I saw it. I'm a big Richard Linklater fan. He's directed films like Dazed and Confused and School of Rock, two films that I love. He also directed Bernie, the other Jack Black Richard Linklater film, which was pretty good. Watched on Netflix. Not great, but it was interesting. And he also directed the Before trilogy, which I'm sure people have heard of. They're quite popular. They come out, like, I think I worked out it's like every 8 or 9 years they come out. So there's Before Midnight, Before Sunset, Before whatever the fuck. I can't remember what they're called. They're Before something. And I think the newest one was Before Midnight. The first one was... I don't give a shit. I haven't seen them. But they're critically acclaimed as well. And Richard Linklater is probably one of the best directors out at the moment. Definitely in the last 20 years, one of the best directors. And his film Slacker actually influenced Kevin Smith. And yeah, if it wasn't for that film, he probably never would have become a film director, so I have to thank him for that. I haven't seen Slacker, but yeah, I've seen Dazed and Confused, Bernie, and School of Rock. I'm sure there's probably others I've seen, but yeah, I saw Boyhood today. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. One of the longest films I've ever seen in the cinema, so I was kind of worried that it might be a little bit too long. The only other film I can remember being that long that I saw was Avatar a few years ago, and I think I had a lot more patience back then. So I went in, sat down, and watched the film. And there was me and one other person in the cinema because I saw it early in the day, and I just watched it happen, and it's, I'm going to say it right now, the best film of 2014, and perhaps one of the best films I've seen in my entire life. That's how good this film is. If you have not seen this film and like it's playing near you, or if it's just come out where you are, go and see it. If it doesn't come out in your country yet, see it when it does come out, because you will not be disappointed. It's a fantastic movie. Now, there's a lot of talk about whether the film was gonna just be a gimmick, the whole 12 years, being shot over 12 years gimmick. People didn't know whether the film would actually use it to its advantage instead of just kind of using it as like a marketing ploy, just saying, this film was shot over 12 years, we're not gonna really use it to its fullest advantages or anything. Here we go, let's just do this film. It's not going to be great. No, it was fantastic. They used it really, really well, and yeah, you really felt like throughout the film, you were getting older as you were watching the character getting older, and it was really weird for me to watch because I'm around about the same age as the character, so watching him grow up, there was a lot of similarities between his childhood and mine, and not as much. Like, my parents aren't divorced, they're still together, and yeah, I don't have an alcoholic dad who throws glasses at my dinner, all things like that. There's a lot of differences, I mean, and but there's a lot of similarities. I remember when I was watching, especially the first hour or so of the film when he's younger, I was like, that's exactly like when I was growing up. It was really odd for me to watch it because it felt really close to home at times. Like, I really related with the movie, and yeah, I love it when that happens, when I relate to movies and relate to characters, and it reminded me when I watched Dazed and Confused for the first time. I felt like I understood everything that was happening in Dazed and Confused. That felt, for me, that was like one of the most realistic comedies I'd ever seen, because it felt real. I remembered that sort of thing happening. Except I didn't grow up in the 70s, so there's that. But, yeah, Boyhood very much felt like my childhood with a load of differences. So, yeah, that whole aspect was fantastic. The writing, I think I read somewhere that the film wasn't written all at once. They didn't write the script all at once. They, came together every year and wrote the script they were going to film, and ended up with the final film at the end of the 12 years. And if that is true, it works really well. But yeah, the film, it doesn't have an overarching story at all. It isn't a story-based film, it's a character-based film. The film is literally just about the character growing up and all the troubles that go around him and how he copes with it. The film is just watching someone's childhood, so that may put you off if you don't like a film like that, don't like a character-driven film. You just want something full of laughs and drama and stuff. This is not the film for you. There are comedic parts, and there are dramatic parts, but there's no real complicated story or anything. There's no action. The film moves at a very leisurely pace. So, and by that I kind of mean it's a little bit slow at times. It's never fast. There's never any fast-paced scenes in the entire film. It just moves along. And you feel like you're watching someone's actual life. The film feels really, really realistic. So, yeah, you feel like you're not watching a film, you're watching someone's actual life. And I think that's probably got to do with the fantastic writing, directing, and acting. The acting in the film is really good. I mean, the main kid, Mason, I think his name was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Why did I just forget his name? I spent 3 hours with him. Yeah, pretty sure it was Mason. He, the kid who played him, surprisingly, was really good, even from as a kid to now. Yeah, he was a great actor, and he gave a really realistic performance. And you could tell that there was a lot of similarities between him and the actual character in the movie. Jump cut. My camera has a time limit on there, and it didn't feel the need to tell me that the video had stopped, so I carried on for about 15-20 minutes before I actually checked the camera to see if it was still recording. So yeah, I talked about a lot of points after the thing cut out, but basically when it cut out I was talking about acting, and the person who plays Mason does a great job. The parents do the best job in the film. Ethan Hawke gives a great performance as the dad, and Patricia Arquette, I think the name is fantastic as the mum, and the characters, both of them, like, grow up as the movie progresses, as Mason the child grows up. You know, the dad, when we first see him, he just came back from Alaska. He's living with his friend who lives in a complete dump. There's a messy apartment and shit. And yes, by the end of the film, he's completely changed. He's married and he's got another child. So yeah, I thought that was a really good thing. Really smart thing to do. As the children grow, so do the parents. And the mum kind of stays kind of the same, but she starts off at the beginning as a single mother. She's struggling being a single mother, but by the end she looks back and thinks that she's done a good job, and you know, as the film progresses, she gets better as a mother, and just gets more confident, manages to handle things a little bit more. And yeah, I thought that was a really good thing to do. She gets married a couple more times after she gets divorced from Ethan Hawke's character. And the first one's a mad alcoholic. And yeah, at first he's her college lecturer because she goes back to college. And yeah, he just goes fucking insane. He's terrifying. He I said it earlier, he at one point they're having dinner, and he's like pouring himself a drink and asking everyone around the table if they have a problem with him drinking. He doesn't say in like a, does anyone have a problem with me drinking? He goes, no one has a problem with me drinking, do they? Like in a sinister, evil sort of way. And Mason doesn't answer, and he throws his glass at Mason's dinner. I mean, I was like, whoa! He was just terrifying. And then they get out, and then she marries army veteran who fought in Iraq, who's now become like a corrections officer, correctional officer, so basically a police officer. And yeah, he disappears. He disappears from the movie at one point. I mean, the last time you see him there, I don't know if they're married or whether they're dating or what's happening. I mean, you see that he's friends with the mother, but never does he like show any real connection. Then it goes to like the following year and they're together. You don't know whether they're married or dating or what. And yeah, there's one part, what you do know is that he basically kind of owns the house in a way. At least I think that's what they were trying to hint at. But in comes Mason one day, and he's late because he's been out to a party, and this guy is basically getting all angry about it, saying, well, you live under my house, you live under my rules, you should be home when you're meant to be home. And you never see him again. He's never mentioned again after that scene, and there's still about, I think, at least half an hour left after that scene. It's probably about an hour left after that scene, actually. So yeah, he just disappears, goes nowhere. It's just, what? I don't know what happened. Why did he disappear? Where did he go to? That's the biggest plot hole in the movie, and there are a few problems I have with the film. Mainly there's a lot of points that they could have expanded on that kind of go nowhere. Like there's a load of friendships that aren't developed at all. Like it'll just go to next year and he has a new best friend and they're always hanging out together. And yeah, you just kind of wish that they like explained the characters, like the friends, more, instead of what it just feels like it feels like that documentary series from years ago that was like a similar thing. It was like 7 Up for the first one, and then like every 20 years or so they go back and see how the people are. It felt a bit like that, where every year they'll go back and check up on the family, spend like a few weeks with them, go away and come back a year later. And yeah, I think it would have been better if they had kind of just shown more of each year. Like, maybe they could have taken bits out, or even made the film longer. I wouldn't have mind. I still really enjoyed the film. It's almost 3 hours. I would have loved to have seen more. But yeah, there's a moment where he has a girlfriend, and you don't really know anything about her except they're all of a sudden together, and they're like, they spend this romantic night, evening, or whatever, weekend, visiting a college where Mason's sister is. And then the next scene, he's getting angry at her for cheating on him, and they're no longer together. And yeah, there were a few parts where they should have explained a few bits more, maybe even just shown a few more bits. So yeah, that was the main problems I have with the movie, was a few plot holes and a few things that they should have talked about a little bit more. But it's kind of nitpicking by saying things like that. The story of the film, as I said, there isn't much of a story. It's basically just a character-driven movie. But the stories are very much, you know, the dilemmas you go through childhood. You know, the whole, like, especially in the situation the characters have, like, struggling with, you know, your mother's new boyfriends, I mean, not girlfriends, although that would be hard to put up with. But, yeah, and there's also, like, the sort of things you'd expect from a film, especially as it goes into the teenage years, you know, like the drinking, drugs, and sex and stuff. And it does talk about that. And, yeah, you can definitely see a massive change from the beginning to the end of the movie. Like, in the beginning of the movie, you have Mason, who is a kid. He's careless. He doesn't give a shit about anything. By the end of the film, he's got all this responsibility that's been thrown on him, and he hasn't changed as a character. He's just kind of gotten older, so he's struggling to really realise that he has to now grow up. So, yeah, I liked that aspect of the film. It was really good. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to say about this movie, and I've gone on for way too long, but the film is really, really smart. There's tons of unique things I've never seen before, and the fact is, the film feels real, which Richard Linklater does perfectly. He's managed to do so many films, like Dazed and Confused especially, where it feels like you're watching kind of a documentary, but shot like a real-life film. And, yeah, it's just fantastic all around. It's gonna win Oscars. If it doesn't win Oscars, I think I'm gonna be surprised. I was saying, I'll be really shocked if it doesn't win anything, the camera car. Yeah, everyone's saying it's probably early contender for Best Picture, especially as it's getting rave reviews, and it's gonna get rave reviews after the wide releases. But yeah, it's a film that deserves every bit of recognition it gets. Oh yeah, one final thing I'll talk about, the music's awesome. There's it's kind of a jukebox soundtrack, sort of like Quentin Tarantino movies, and kind of, I think Richard Linklater has done it before, where he just uses other songs for his soundtrack instead of like composing a score or anything. Although I do think there might have been a bit of a score, but I think for the most part it was just, you know, other people's music. And so there was a lot of rock music at the beginning, a lot of like pop punk, early 2000 punk music, like Blink-182 had a song in there, and as they're like my favourite band, that was pretty cool to see, or hear rather. Yeah, and there's loads of other great music in the film. Really did have some good music, but yeah, that was just something I thought of then. I just remembered that I was going to say that. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about Boyhood right now. But if I do a top 10 best films of this year, like I was planning on doing last year, but never did because I would have had to have split it into large parts because I was blocked. I wasn't allowed to upload anything over 15 minutes for a long time, and depending on if this goes up, depending on how long this is, I mean, it will probably go up after that ban's been lifted. It lifts this week. But yeah, if I do a list like that this year, this will probably be at number 1, and I'll watch the film again depending on if it comes out on DVD before late December. And really I'll go into in-depth and anything I've missed and other things about the film. You know, I'll probably repeat a lot of the points I make, but it'll be more concise, and there'll be a lot of other things that I've forgotten about, forgot to mention, because I know there's a lot of things that I was thinking about when watching the film, and on the train ride back, thinking about, oh, this bit was really good, and this bit was really good, I must remember to talk about this bit, but yeah, I've forgotten a lot of it, but for the most part I've talked about everything that's good about the film. It's really, really smart, well written, well acted, some of the best directing I've ever seen, and it's a fantastic coming of age story, which I love coming of age stories anyway, so to see one this good and this well written and stuff was just it was just great. As I said, best film so far this year and one of the best films I've ever seen. Thanks for watching this review, guys. If you haven't seen Boyhood yet and it's out where you live, I hugely recommend it, and if it's not out where you live, wait till it comes out and go see it, because it's worth your money. At least wait till DVD. I mean, you definitely need to see it. If you're a fan of film and you want to see something different, but at the same time not too different, this is your film. There's a lot of unique things, a lot of things that's never been done before, but at the same time, it's a coming-of-age story like other ones you've seen. It's just done really, really well, so, yeah. Out of 10, of course, I'm going to have to give it a 10. As I said, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's not going to get a 7, but, yeah, fantastic film. Boyhood, directed by Richard Linklater. It's out now in the UK, comes out the 16th in the US, and I think in other countries it comes out 16th or maybe even after that, so hugely recommend it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.